Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart walkthrough. Now that we have cleared out the enemies and freed the first group of monks, we're going to head on over toward the second group. But first we got to get out of this crater, so you'll want to look for a little trampoline spring there. And we're also going to take a look at the collectibles on this planet. So one of them will be Lorbs, and those are Lombax orbs, which tell of the history of the Lombaxes, because Sargasso was once an ancient location of an the ancient species of Lombaxes before they all just dropped off the face of the universe, I guess. And there's 12 of them on this planet. They tell a pretty cool story. I'll probably be uploading that after the walkthrough, and we're just going to head on over here and talk to this monk to learn more.
Do you know why they...
Wait a second. Is that a Lombax shrine? Maybe I should ask around. See if someone knows anything.
Whoa, can it be? A brother Lombax?
You, know we're not related, right?
Yeah, we are. By our mutual thirst for knowledge. Check this out. A shrine the Lombaxes built ages ago, containing a lorb stuffed with ancient info. But only a Lombax can unlock its secrets. If you could bring me 3 lorbs, I'll hook you up with a sweet piece of armor I dug up.
A Lombax shrine? Yeah, I'll totally help.
Radical! One last thing. Shrines won't open if there are bad vibes nearby. So if there are, you'll have to clear them out.
I have to say, this planet made me pretty excited for the rest of the game, and I was really hoping a lot of the other worlds were going to be more like Sargasso, but Sargasso is just the biggest planet in Ratchet and Clank. So I sped up this part. We're going to head on over toward the second monk location, and there might be a couple of enemies I'm going to fight here, and it's just nothing really super special. So lots of these stupid wasp bugs. I hate these guys for now. Eventually, they're not a problem, but right now they are. There's another lorb there, and I'm not going to show the location of all the lorbs, so that's just kind of on the way. And then we're going to enter what is definitely the worst fight when it comes to these monks. And I died a couple, actually I think I probably only died once here. So there's going to be a lot of these super weak enemies and a lot of the laser robots. And it's really just going to be more of the same, but there'll be a couple of new twists on it. So we'll work on that as we get there. And as I was kind of mentioning earlier, I was sort of hoping that this game was going to be slightly more open world. I'm not against games being linear, and I'd say Rift Apart is pretty linear. At least it's more open than the previous games, but it's also more in line with the previous ones, where you have a pretty linear world approach, and then you might have a fork every now and again that takes you to a side objective, but nothing too crazy. And Sargasso was definitely the most open of any world that I can remember in these games. And it's just kind of maybe disheartening to me when you find out that this was the only game, or the only planet that's like this one. And it sort of bothers me when one of your games try to shove in open world somehow, just because the open world feels like a giant box rather than an open place that we can actually explore. And I think if you've ever played games like Mass Effect Andromeda, then that really, or even like Outer Worlds, then that kind of shows exactly what I'm trying to convey, where all the different worlds you can go to are supposedly wide open, but they really just feel like giant boxes, you know? So, and the other planets of Rift Apart, they feel like linear boxes, but this one just feels like a giant box, and it's still a very fun world. I think I would say it was probably my favorite, but I was kind of hoping... how do I put this? It's better when they mold all the open worlds together to give you the illusion that your even bigger box isn't a box. So the likes of like Skyrim or Breath of the Wild, right? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, we do have to deal with a Nefarious juggernaut on top of all the other enemies, and I swear I am jumping when that laser comes by. So the juggernaut weirdly doesn't actually do that much damage, and he's really just not that big of a deal, so he's pretty forgiving, and we've fought him once or twice before, so we should be familiar with his moves, and that should mean that you're not taking that much damage. Of course, that doesn't always mean that that's what happens, and I think I'm going to get whacked right there. I paused the game right as he was shooting me. But the funny thing is, when he does hit you, he kind of does a taunt, so sometimes it's a little bit more helpful to get hit because he isn't going to be non-stop attacking you, and I just was incapable of dodging those 3 lasers for some reason. Anyway, we're gonna head on over here to the monks once that's done. Okay, so I have the game sped up a little bit again, and it's just waiting around for... oh, no, I missed an enemy. That's right, we have to kill all the enemies. There he is, little tiny stupid head bot. Okay, finally found him, then we're gonna head back to the monks.
This system is quite old and intricate. It will take some time to disable the force field.
Take as long as you need. I'll handle these guys.
Okay, so now we have to do something completely different. We have to defend KT-7461. And there's really not many instances in this game where you have to actually defend someone, which is very good for me because I do not like having to manage 2 health bars. You have to watch hers and your own. And this one's really not too big of a deal. It's just kind of, I jumped in here and went really aggressive on these robots, and I probably should have stayed near KT a little bit more. So her health is going down now pretty rapidly. I think she just went down like 7%, and then that was like another 7, that was like another 6, something like that. That was like 6 again. You know, it was, you know, just getting whacked away by a robot. I finally realized, oh, she's taking damage. We have to go help her out. And then I think her health actually gets pretty low, and I'm just having a really bad time dealing with some of these enemies' projectiles. As I've said before, this game sometimes just feels like you get in a really bad rhythm against the enemies, and it's hard to get out of it, because when you repeat the fights, then you're in a good rhythm, and you don't really get hit nearly as much. There is a health box spawn right next to her, so be sure to use that, and Mr. Fun Guy is very useful. Just try not to spam him. I'm pretty sure that was an accident that I made there. And he's pretty useful just for distracting. And then try also not to fall off the map or some of the edges. It is very possible in this game to easily kill yourself just by falling off the stage itself, and then you have to repeat the fight for no reason. Okay, so she's getting pretty low there, but I managed to get rid of most of those enemies. It probably would have been a good idea for me to draw the fire of the melee weapons away, or to draw the axes, I guess. And then there's going to be more of these stupid laser robots that I'm horrible at dealing with right now. And it sort of feels like as you get closer to them, they're not as deadly, but that might just be in my head. And then there's going to be a dropship once this thing stops hurting me, and it's going to drop more enemies on us, and I think we might actually have to kill that dropship. I don't quite remember. We'll find out in a second here. All those robots are dead, and now, yeah, I do believe we have to fight the dropship. So I went back to get some health, spawn Mr. Fun Guy to give myself a little bit more aid, and we're just going to start shooting at this guy. I'm out of negation collider ammo, and then I think I end up using the enforcer, not the enforcer, the ricochet again. And the ricochet, I have that weapon fully upgraded by the time I've beaten this game. I still hate it. It's just like, it's so slow, and it just doesn't seem like it does anything. So I ended up using it against this guy because I was kind of low on ammo. And again, health box, be sure to use that. And the ricochet is just where you shoot one weapon, and then you just, it's kind of like the carrier things in StarCraft, the little carrier spawns. They just swarm, the thing that you're shooting at this guy just swarms it, and then you keep pushing the trigger, and it attacks and attacks and attacks, but just because of the way of the haptic feedback triggers on the PlayStation 5 controller, at least to me, it doesn't feel like it's super good for moving it quickly. So you can't really get any super fast hits, and it just doesn't feel like that thing does a whole lot of damage. But it did help me kill that, and that's the final enemy we had to defeat, so we can not have to worry about KT's health anymore.
You saved us, sister and Ratchet Guy. Thank you.
There is only one temple left. One more temple. Only one more.
We'll find you. Promise.